To you and me, as I type March 20th, 2011 into my spreadsheet, we see a date. But Excel sees something different, what's called a serial number for that date. Here, I'll show you. On the Home tab, in the Numbers group, I'll click this little arrow that's called a dialog box launcher, and then click General. The date converts to serial number 40,622. Serial numbers for dates began in Excel on January 1st, 1900. That's serial number 1. Each day after that adds a number to the sequence. So, January 2nd, 1900 is serial number 2, and so on. Dates being stored as serial numbers behind the scenes make it possible to use dates in formulas. Excel simply uses the serial numbers to do the math. To do the math, I'll type May 2nd, 2011 into cell A2. Next, I'll type the vacation start date of July 15th, 2011 in cell A3. Now I'll type the formula equals A3 minus A2. The answer is that there are 74 days until vacation. The equal sign tells Excel that this is a formula. The minus sign operator tells Excel to subtract one number from another. A3 and A2 are the cell references that refer to the values in those cells. To verify how Excel reached 74, I'll convert the dates into serial numbers. On the Home tab, in the Number group, I'll click here and select General. That converts May 2nd to 40,665. Next, I'll follow the same steps to convert July 15th, 2011 to serial number 40,739. The answer remains the same, 74. To check the math another way, I'll create a new formula by typing equals 40739 minus 40665, which results in the same answer, 74. If you wonder later on how you got a formula result, the formula is visible in the formula bar near the top of the spreadsheet whenever you select the cell that contains the formula. You can also double-click the cell to see the formula in the cell. To do the math this time, you need to use a spreadsheet function in a formula instead of just subtracting one date value from another. There are two functions you can use to find the number of workdays: net workdays and networkdays.intl, which both return the number of whole workdays between two dates. Use the net workdays function if your regular days off are Saturday and Sunday. Otherwise, use the networkdays.intl function. It's still May 2nd, 2011, and your vacation still starts on July 15th. You're working in the U.S., and there are 2 U.S. holidays listed here, which I'll say more about in a minute. To create the formula, on the Formulas tab at the top of the ribbon, I'll click Insert Function. In the Search for Function box, I'll type Network Days, and then click Go. In the Select a Function list, I'll click Network Days and then click OK. That opens the Function Arguments dialog box where you can see all the arguments for the function. I'll click in the Start Date box, and then in my spreadsheet I'll click cell A2 to enter that date into the formula. Now I'll click in the End Date argument box and click cell A3 in the spreadsheet. Finally, I'll click in the Holidays argument box. Notice that the Holidays argument is not in boldface. That means that this is an optional argument. If there were no holidays during this period, you could leave the argument blank. Because we have 2 U.S. holidays, Memorial Day and July 4th, during this period, I'll include them in the formula by clicking in the spreadsheet in cell A4 and dragging to A5. Then I'll click OK. There are 53 working days until vacation. This time I'll type the formula directly into the spreadsheet. I'll type my equal sign and then start to type networkdays.intl. Formula autocomplete lists the function, so I'll double-click the name of the list to let Formula autocomplete enter the function name for me. The arguments for the function are in this screen tip. Notice that both weekend and holidays are in brackets, which means that the arguments are optional. For example, if you mean to take no weekends off during this period, you don't have to enter the weekends argument. I'll click cell A2 for the start date argument and then enter a comma to separate it from the next argument. I'll click cell A3 to enter the end date, the first day of vacation, and type a comma to separate the end date argument from the weekend argument. As soon as I type the comma, a drop-down list appears giving me a choice of days off for my weekend. I'll double-click 5 for Wednesday and Thursday. Then I'll enter a comma to separate the weekend argument from the holidays argument. Finally, I'll click in cell A4 and drag to cell A5. Notice the colon between the two cell references? That indicates a cell range. I'll type my closing parenthesis and press enter. There are 51 days until the start of vacation. That's fewer days than if your days off were Saturday and Sunday, because your 2 days off are right before July 15th. Again, there are two functions you can use depending on your normal weekend dates. If your weekend days off are Saturday and Sunday, use the workday function. Otherwise, use the workday.intl function. There are 2 U.S. holidays to exclude from the 80 days you have to complete the project: Monday, May 30th, 2011, and Monday, July 4th, 2011. I'll begin to type the formula by typing my equal sign, and as I type Workday, Formula Autocomplete offers the function in a list. I'll double-click Workday to enter it in the formula. A screen tip tells me all the arguments I need to enter for the formula. I'll click cell A2 to enter the start date argument. I'll type a comma to separate the argument from the days argument. I'll click cell A3 to enter the days argument and then type a comma to separate it from the next argument, holidays. I'll click in cell A4 and drag to cell A5. Finally, I'll type the closing parenthesis and press enter. In this formula, the date is displayed as a serial number. To convert the number to a date, on the Home tab in the Number group, I'll click here and then click Date. The project must be finished on August 3rd, 2011. And you're still working in the United States, so you still have to exclude the U.S. holidays from the number of working days. I'll type my equal sign and then begin to type the function name equal workday.intl. As I type, Formula Autocomplete displays the function name in a list, and I'll double-click workday.intl to get it into the formula. I'll click cell A2 to enter the start date argument and then enter a comma to separate the arguments. I'll click cell A3 to enter the days argument. As soon as I enter the comma to separate the arguments, a drop-down list appears with a list of different days off. I'll double-click 4 for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then enter a comma to separate the arguments. I'll click in cell A4 and drag to cell A5 to include the holiday arguments. Now I'll type the closing parentheses and press enter. The result is serial number 40,760. To convert the serial number to a date, on the Home tab in the Number group, I'll click here and select Date. The project end date is August 5th, 2011. You can find the date by using the eDate function, which stands for elapsed date. In this example, my project start date is in cell A2. In cell B2 is the number of months I have to complete the project. Now I'll type my equal sign and then begin to type the function name. As usual, Formula Autocomplete displays the function name, and I'll double-click it to get eDate into the formula. And the formula arguments are shown in the screen tip here. I'll click in cell A2 to enter the start date argument and then type a comma to separate the arguments. I'll click in cell B2 to enter the months argument. Finally, I'll type a closing parenthesis and then press enter. The answer is serial number 41464. I'll convert the serial number to a date. On the Home tab, in the Number group, I'll click here and then I'll click Date. The project end date is July 9th, 2013, and you've been given an estimate of 1 year, 7.5 months to complete a project. You need to find the project end date. In this formula, you'll use the date function to find the end date. I typed today's date in cell A2. Then in cell B2 I typed 1 to stand for 1 year. In cell B3 I typed 7 for 7 months. And in cell B4 I typed 15 for the half month. I'll begin the formula by typing the equal sign and then begin typing the function name of date. Formula Autocomplete, as usual, offers the name in a list. I'll double-click the name to get date into the formula. For the year argument, I'll type 2011 and a plus sign, and then I'll click in cell B2 to add 1 year to the formula. Then I'll type a comma to separate the year argument from the month argument. And for the month argument, I'll type 6 for the month of the year, June. Then I'll type a plus sign and click cell B3 to add 7 months to the formula. And as usual, I'll type a comma to separate the arguments. For the day argument, I'll type 9 for the 9th day of the month. I'll type a plus sign and then I'll click cell B4 to add 15 days to the formula. Then I'll type my closing parentheses and press enter. The project completion date is January 24th, 2013.